We're going to be live in just a few seconds. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
And we're live. You can go ahead and start. Welcome, everyone.
Hi, everybody. This is Louise. I'm the chair of Canyon Dems, and we're trying something new. We always try something new. That's just to drive me a little insane, but that's okay. So what we're trying tonight is called a virtual auction. And so throughout the time of the meeting, you will be able to click on the chat, which is at the bottom of your screen, or it should be at the bottom of your screen, and go to chat, and you'll be able to bid on this fabulous book. It's the inaugural address of Barack Obama. It also includes both of Lincoln's first and second inaugural addresses. So you bid on it. At the end of the night, the highest bid wins and goes to the donate page on our website, donates that amount of money, and then we send you the book. So that's our little fun activity that's going to take place throughout the time of the meeting. So welcome to our May meeting. It's being presented on Zoom and also on YouTube. So welcome to the YouTube folks if you're out there. Please be patient with me as I try to make my way through all of this with the technology. It's not as much fun as doing it at the Murray Center when we can all see each other, but it's a way better than not doing it at all. So I'm very pleased to have everybody here tonight. And the first order of business is to say the Pledge of Allegiance. So I'm going to lead us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for joining in that. And now I would like to ask you to join me in a moment of silence. The writing in the upper left of the screen is a quote from John Donne, who wrote this famous quote that starts, "No man is an island," in 1623, in the middle of a typhus epidemic. He heard church bells tolling for the dead. Please join me in the moment of silence as we reflect and as we remember the 170 neighbors in our area who've died of COVID so far. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, I think we're going to be having to have more of those slides as we go along, but that's the way it is. So a little bit about Zoom. If you're new to Zoom, you can turn off the video if you don't want people to be able to see you. You just would click on it and it will put a line through it so people won't be able to see you. And also, don't share things in the chat that you don't want public, okay? Because everybody will be able to see it. This is our agenda for the night. It's the same agenda that we use whether we're on Zoom or over at the Murray Center face to face. We'll have, we had the pledge. I know that we have a quorum because of the number of people who've signed in, so I'm going to announce that we've met the requirements for the quorum. And then the next order of business will be to adopt the consent items. And following that, then we get to do the really interesting stuff. So we're going to be hearing from Citizens Climate Lobby, which I'm sure we're really looking forward to. And then we've got a lot of other new and fun things to talk about. So the business part of this is that we're going to do all of the things we need to vote on in one big chunk called our consent items. And that's the agenda and the general meeting minutes for April, which I hope were sent out to you. Andy Alexander keeps the best minutes in the whole country, so you can be sure they're fine. And the board has already reviewed them. And we're also going to adopt a motion to adjourn at the end of the meeting. It's a little unusual, but that way we don't have to hold a second meeting. So we have a motion moved by Faye and seconded by Marty. And now I'm going to ask you to please vote on the poll, yes or no, to accept the consent items. So I see 21 people have voted. Anybody else want to vote? Going, gone. 100% of the people who voted yes. Thank you, Canyon Dems. We've got through that. Whoop. Okay, we can take the poll down now, I think. Maybe I can take it down. Yeah, whoa, such power. Okay, in our club, what we do, and we've done it before, is we adopt the board of directors adopts new policies. And then we come to the club meeting and we tell you what the new policy is. And if by chance, somebody in the club or a group of people in the club don't like the policy, at the next meeting, you can make a motion to rescind the policy or to amend it. But for right now, we're informing you of what the policy is. So one of the really wonderful new things that Vivian Frerich got us started on was having a directory of businesses who are members of the club. And if you go to our website right now, it's up there. But this is the policy we're going to follow in setting that. So I'm just going to briefly describe it and you can read it on the screen for yourself. But the idea is that these are businesses that are in our area. They are either owned or managed by Canyon Dam members, and they are things that would be of interest to our club members. And they give us a business card and we put their business card on our website. And of course, we have the little wiggle room language there at the end that says that we're not responsible for, the services that you might contract with somebody who's in one of these businesses. We're just giving you the information that these are our members. So you're going to hear more about this later on from Kathy Udovich, who's the new chair of this. And I'm going to go on to the second policy, if I can remember how to do that. So this policy sets out the procedures that we're going to follow in order to approve support for new candidates. The Democratic Party of Orange County does endorsements in countywide races, and the statewide races are done by the state party. But often there are local candidates who either don't want to go to the DPOC or who the DPOC just doesn't do an endorsement for them. And then we can vote to support them, give them money, and so on. So this sets up a way that Janet Henry, who chairs the committee on candidates and support and their support, will function. And so if it's somebody we don't know that we didn't recruit, then there'll be an interview by a subcommittee, and then it will go to the executive board, and the executive board will vote a recommendation of whether to support this person or not, and how much money to give them if we have the money. And then we will bring it to the full membership of the club. So those are the two new policies that we've adopted. And if you have interest in either of these and you would like a full copy, you can just email me at chair@canyondems.org and I will get the policy right out to you. Okay? And I'll be happy to answer any questions if you email me or call me. I think half the world has my phone number. Okay, the other important thing, of course, is that we're getting ready for the general election in November 2020. But we shouldn't think of it as November because the election really starts on October 5th when ballots arrive in people's houses, okay? So if you start at the top, you can see that we've laid out here when we're going to make decisions about supporting local candidates. And of course, the National Convention is on there. We don't know whether it's going to be face-to-face or what, but it's going to happen somehow. And then, but the really critical thing is people will start voting on October 5th. So we have to be ready so that when they start voting, they know who our candidates are, both at the national level and all the local races as well, where we have Democratic candidates. So those are really important things that we're paying attention to. And this is the Zoom schedule for June. We set up a whole series of meetings. The social meetings are usually about an hour. They're on Wednesday, one week, they're at 7 o'clock, and the next week they're at 2 p.m. And you can just join in from the website and visit. That's the whole point, is to just visit with our friends in the club. And then the other Zoom meetings are the board meetings. And then we have a presentation on homelessness, elder law, and disability rights coming up on the 4th of June. So this is our schedule through the end of June. And we'll, at the board meeting, be talking about what we want to do. It's looking like we will probably be staying on Zoom meetings into July, but we'll see. It's up to the board. Okay. So Annie is going to introduce our speakers tonight. And but if you have questions, what we want you to do is look at the bottom of this page here, ask your questions on the chat feature. So you would click on that little icon that says chat, and it would open up a window on the right side of your screen, and you can type in your question. And then after this presentation, which we're all looking forward to, Rachel will read out the questions so that Glendon and Keith can answer them. So Annie, I'm going to stop my shares, stop sharing, and that will open it up for Annie, for you to take over, or for Glendon and Keith.
Okay. Well, thanks, Louise. As Louise mentioned in the Zoom schedule that she just showed, our next webinar will be on June 4th, and it's going to be on the Elder Disability Rights Center, Elder Law, and it's going to be presented by Brooke Weitzman. She's an attorney and the co-founder of the center, and the center provides legal services for senior citizens, homeless, and people with disabilities. And then 4 weeks from tonight at our general meeting, our presenter will be Dr. Bill Honigman, and he will be presenting on COVID-19 politics and policy, and he's also going to talk about universal health care. Tonight, we're going to hear about the Citizens Climate Lobby. Our presenters are Keith Linker and Glendon Gelbert, and they'll be telling you a little bit about themselves when they start their presentation. What is remarkable about the work of the Citizens Climate Lobby is that most of its work is carried out by volunteers. And our two presenters tonight, they have full-time jobs, and yet they volunteer so much of their time and their effort to the work of the Citizens Climate Lobby based on their passion, the environment. So thank you so much, Keith and Glendon, and we appreciate all that you do, and welcome.
Thank you very much. Can you see my screen?
We can.
All right, Keith, I think we're going to start with you.
Sounds good. Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Can you see me okay?
Yeah.
I see Glendon. Okay. Thank you. I want to start with some appreciations. We want to thank, of course, Annie for scheduling, and in particular the Canyon Democrats. We've heard a lot about your group, and we're really thrilled to be here. We're lucky to have this opportunity. I hope our presentation lives up to your expectations. Next, I'd like to take a moment to introduce myself, and I'll turn it over to Glinton. The first screen had a little bit of my background. I am an East Coast transplant. I've been living in Irvine. I've actually been out here since my early 20s, but living in LA. I've been in Irvine for about 4 years. It says parent of 2, but you see the one in the middle getting all the attention. Really parent of 3. I think anybody with a dog knows how that goes. And I've been a CCL member for a little over 2 years. And there are many chapters throughout California. I think about 4 or 5 in Southern California. We're with, Glenn and I are with the Central Orange County chapter. And I'll turn it over to Glenn.
Thanks, Keith. So I've been in Orange County for about 7 years. You'll hear from my accent that I have a sort of love-hate relationship with the question, where are you from? I don't really know. I always listen to my kids when they get asked that question, because I don't know what they're going to say. I have 1 who was born in Singapore and 2 who were born in the UK. And my wife is from, she's from South Africa, but she's also Swiss. So take your pick. Anyway, we live in California now. And I've been with the Citizens Climate Lobby for about a year. I think, like many of you, you kind of have this feeling that you know what the solutions are, and this frustration that it feels like we're not making any traction. And when I discovered the Citizens Climate Lobby and heard about what they're doing and how far they've come, I jumped in with both feet. So I've been very I'm very keen on the solution, and I hope that we can convince you that that's the case by the end of this. So let me turn it back to Keith to introduce CCL.
Thanks, Glenn. So one quick question. My screen doesn't show me, it shows you, Glenn, and I'm sure the audience appreciates that.
No, I can see you.
But is there a way to switch it to me?
I don't know.
I don't know. Not critical.
We can see
anyway.
you.
We
can see you when you're talking.
I feel like I'm hidden somehow, but
We can definitely see you when you're talking. Don't worry.
all right. Thanks, Rachel. So a little bit about CCL. It is an international organization in dozens of countries throughout the world. It's nonprofit. We, as Annie mentioned, we're volunteers, and we're not in this to make money. One of the most important items is I'm sorry, I skipped nonpartisan. One of the most important ones is that we're nonpartisan. We feel, of course, to the audience that I'm speaking, that may sound sacrilegious, but we think any lasting action on climate is going to need to be nonpartisan, since a change of administration could tear all the work down that we've done. So the way we do that is through a laser focus on fee and dividend, and we believe, as I'll explain later, that's we believe the most powerful approach towards solving climate change, not just nibbling at the edges. And we work with everyone. As I mentioned at the outset, we respect and appreciate anybody that we're talking to. It's generally speaking, we feel a much better approach. And as you would note in the name, Citizens Climate Lobby, we do lobby. And before we walk into a policymaker's office, whether it be a Republican or a Democrat, we find something that we appreciate about them and start the meeting off that way. We find it's a better approach and gains a lot more traction, because a lot of this is about relationships. So those are very important. It's a little bit about, so one more slide on CCL, a little bit about the scale of the organization. We mentioned it's international, 590 chapters worldwide. That number goes up all the time. Over 100,000 members worldwide. It's pretty substantial. They do have staff, full-time staff. Most are in DC, some are in San Diego, and some are elsewhere. And most importantly, the goal is to adopt a fair and effective, I'll just read this, fair and effective and sustainable climate solution. And right now our focus is on passing the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act. You'll hear me say it a lot of times. We have an abbreviation, which is HR 763, so those are interchangeable. And I'll talk about that more later. So to introduce the topic, I had a much more complicated slide, and we decided this is, in the interest of time, a much better approach. And so to introduce climate change, climate change is caused by the greenhouse effect, and it's actually fairly simplistic. And to be candid, I didn't know, I understood the greenhouse effect generally, but I thought it was worth touching on because a lot of people explain it like a blanket over the earth. Well, a blanket keeps things like in a cooler, keeps things cool, keeps things hot. It's just an insulator, but that's not actually how the greenhouse effect works. It really works by allowing solar radiation, which is on the shorter wavelength, ultraviolet light, for example, which will get you tan. That comes through the atmosphere. And then when it gets absorbed by the atmosphere or the oceans or land mass, it will warm it up. And then just like when you stand next to a brick wall after sunset, you feel it radiating heat. It is radiation. But that radiant wavelength is in the infrared zone. It's a longer wavelength. That tends to excite greenhouse gases, predominantly carbon dioxide, which you see listed there. Water vapor, interestingly enough, is a greenhouse gas as well. Methane is listed there as well. It's a much more potent greenhouse gas, but it's in much smaller quantities in the atmosphere. So I won't bore you anymore with this science, but I thought it was worth introducing the topic as well as pointing that out. And of course, yeah, go ahead, listen. So the greenhouse effect has an impact, which is climate change, and climate change is, as we generally
Keith, you're breaking up.
So, internet. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you now. You're back.
Okay, sorry about that. So, droughts, fires, and instability in the climate in general are the impacts that we're seeing. Of course, I think we can agree that these are things that we want to mitigate and avoid. So what can we do? We can make personal choices about, buying an electric car or going meat-free, changing our light bulbs, saving water, flying less. All these are good things. But as you see in the next slide, their impact really, believe it or not, is not that substantial. So again, I don't want to get into detail too much, but the largest impact, apart from the one on the far right, which is having fewer children, saying is live car free. So if you don't drive at all, say you're taking public transit or a bike, your impact is reduces your carbon impact by 2 tons per year. People in the United States, generally speaking, emit 20 tons. So that huge effort will be significant for you. It'll reduce your impact by 10%. But as you can see, all the other items, while important and having an impact, they are not really that substantial. But the other item, of course, even if we were to do all these things, I quite honestly am just about carbon neutral right now, and it's been a heavy lift. But we can't rely on goodwill alone. Let's say we get 1% of the population to voluntarily do these things. That's terrific, and it should be done, but it's not going to get us where we need to go. So you can see we need bigger action.
Keith,
I'll
we
be
have a couple of
comprehensive.
questions in the chat, maybe regarded to this. Has the quarantine affected the numbers that we're seeing in terms of climate change? Are you guys using that to sort of affect politicians?
Do you want me to go? So the early data indicates that there's been a relatively significant decrease in fossil fuel emissions. So about 17% is the number that I read recently. That's enough to slow the amount of carbon dioxide getting into the atmosphere. It's not enough to reverse it. So it isn't even to the point where we would be effectively removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. We need to have a much bigger dip, which certainly shows you how big of a lift this whole thing is. I don't know whether CCL has taken it to any politicians specifically, but I think certainly my view is that this is a relatively temporary state of affairs. So, if you're looking at a very steep graph, it's maybe taking a little bit less steep, and then it's going to go back up to steep, and we can't have that basically. So that's where I would see the quarantine fitting into that. Keith, do you have anything to add?
No, the only item that I'd mention too is, while construction is considered an essential activity, there are, solar and wind installations that have been put on hold as a result, more due to the instability in economics than anything else. So while Glenton's absolutely right, I think there has been certainly a positive effect. We can see it directly by looking over a hill and seeing downtown LA. But it will certainly be temporary.
I see Heather Gilbert was asking how much do we need to reduce beyond 17% to reduce CO2 emissions? I don't have that number in my head, but it's close to 100%.
So I have a dog crying in the background here. I apologize. So if you want to jump to the next slide, Clinton, unless there's other questions, Rachel. Okay, so really diving into the meat of this, we need political action and we need policies at the grand scale that are going to have an impact long term. And so what are those? They're hundreds. Here's some of the big ones. Protesting, as Greta Thunberg does, looking at the Green New Deal. Looking at community choice energy, which is actually a really good local policy, tax incentives for electric vehicles. And these are all supportive of, the goal, but really the one that's sweeping and could have the biggest impact in the shortest period of time, in our opinion, of course, is the Energy Innovation and Climate Dividend Act. So I keep on referring to the fee and dividend. You can go to the next one, Clinton. Oh, I'm sorry. So I mentioned synonymous with the HR 763 or synonymous with energy innovation and carbon dividend is HR 763. It's just the name for the bill. Sometimes they get a tricky number, like 100 to describe getting to 100% carbon-free energy, for example. Nothing fancy about 763, but if I use it later on, that's what we're talking about. It was introduced a little over a year ago and has been active ever since. So what is it? What is fee and dividend? We've said it many times. So it's the fee part is putting a fee on the fossil fuel that comes out of a mine or a well, presumably, obviously, coal or crude oil, or at the port. And I'll mention a little bit more about that in the third bullet. The next is the dividend. This is the fun part. All the money that's taken in from those fees goes back to households in the United States on a proportional share per capita. And then the last one, which is a little bit complicated, but is important as well. Of course, if a mine is in Canada or Mexico, anywhere, but the United States, that fee isn't going to be imposed. But when those goods come across the border, the equivalent fee that would have been taken in our country gets taken in. Unless, and this is the interesting part, I'm not going to talk about it in detail, but if the country has the same or similar fee and dividend program, then they wouldn't pay that fee. So that's a way to incentivize other countries to do the same thing. So what are the benefits of this? So this is a slide right from CCL's main website. The benefits are it's effective, and that's, you know, depends on how you look at it. I think it's one of the most important ones because we need something effective. It's good for people. You know, I'll show a slide on that, how it points out that people in general are going to benefit. It's good for the economy, believe it or not. Of course, there's this notion that somehow this is going to kill the economy, and it won't. And it's revenue neutral. So how effective is it? So I couldn't find, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this because this is one of the most important slides. And that's why it's got two graphs. So on the left, you can see the target. So we're at 2015. This is slightly dated, but obviously shift everything forward 5 years. The US Paris Agreement target is on there. And if we were to impose a $50 per ton carbon, it says tax, let's use the term fee, we would exceed it. And that's incredibly powerful. What I was hoping for and couldn't find is a slide that shows comparison between other types of policies. But to show you how even more impactful the HR 763 is, the graph on the right shows on the blue line is CCL's, we call it CCL's, it's not ours, but it's the one that we advocate for. Of course, HR 763 starts at $15 a ton. So it's a little more palatable on the outset. We believe that would gain more traction. But as you can see, the dark green line, even at starting at $50 a ton, rising 5% a year, HR 763 is going to outpace it. So the power that it's got even exceeds, again, the graph on the left. It should far exceed the impact of the Paris, or achieve, I should say, the goals of the Paris Agreement. So it's good for people. This is, of course, important, not just because we want to help people, but because it's not going to get support. So if we want support, it's going to have to be, you know, populist. So 60% of families. So if you fly a lot, you may end up paying more. If you drive an SUV, you may end up paying more because those goods and services are really where that money is being seen. The oil producers are not going to give this away for free. Basically, you can see a rough proportionality. $15 per ton translates to about 15 cents. So every dollar per ton, you see a cent increase at the pump. So the $50 a ton, for example, at starting, that's 50 cents at the pump. And I think we'd see some backlash there. So that's part of the reason that the 15 was selected to start. But you can see on a monthly basis, after about a dozen years, we're up in the $300 range of dividend per month. That's pretty substantial. And of course, the purpose for this ultimately is to drive toward less carbon intensive solutions. And using the economic driver is one of the most powerful ways to do that. So speaking of economic drivers, the economy, of course, is a concern. Are we going to, crush the economy? Well, no. This is at a national level, the increase in number of jobs. It takes into account for the reduction in, say, oil exploration and extraction, and simply looks at the balance between green jobs, solar installation, wind, for example, So the balance of those, you can see, creates a substantial number of jobs. So neutral, being carbon neutral sounds strange, because a lot of people would think, hey, we're generating billions of dollars a year. And much like California's cap and trade program.
You said carbon neutral, you meant revenue neutral.
I'm sorry, revenue neutral. Thank you, Glenn. So it's revenue neutral. I should have jumped to the slide so I could read it and make my job easier. You think take this money and put it in, invest it into the bullet train or into putting up more wind power. But as you probably remember, maybe 2 years ago, the Yellow Vests in Paris protested that very item, which was an increase in their fuel costs and nothing seemingly coming back to them. And that was a pretty major protest. It's a progressive approach versus funding clean power. It's more attractive, I think, to conservative politicians in general. And it's gained support from fossil fuel companies, an item that we haven't talked about, but we have to share. Fossil fuel companies have come on board to advocate for this, in part because it's a certainty. In other words, uncertainty in the economy is scary, and fossil fuel companies, like any other company, doesn't like uncertainty as to what's going to happen in the future. So before I turn to Glenton, did you notice in the chat, Glenton, are there any other questions that we can touch on before we move on?
There was one more question from Akala about how to get involved, but I know you guys are going to talk about that a little bit coming up. So, and has COVID-19 stalled your work, from Annie Krinsky?
I mean, like everything, we're doing it in a different way. We're all finding our feet in the new world. There was another question, which was sort of a follow-up question from Kathy, which was, can we demonstrate to politicians that personal choices do make a difference? So again, the challenge with this is that it really is we're following the science, and the science is telling us that this stuff is happening. We're seeing the impacts already. And the change doesn't happen that quickly. So yes, we can see a change in the amount of emissions we're seeing, but we're not going to see a dramatic change in the climate. The one thing that we are seeing out of COVID is that the government handing out a check to everyone is actually just a really effective way of dealing with an economic pressure. And so that's, I think, is kind of an interesting thing that potentially people might be more open to a revenue dividend and to a carbon dividend, and just to understand how that fits in into the why we basically say that that's good for the economy. Okay, I'm seeing another question, which is, this is based on the sale of fossil fuels, but might it be more effective to charge based on emissions? It is based on effective emissions. So it's dollars per ton of carbon dioxide equivalent, but at the earliest source that you can get it. So at the mine or at the borders. So it will always be on $1 per ton of carbon dioxide equivalent. And it actually works both ways. If you have something that is taking carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere, you can receive a credit from this program as well.
And then Carson Malbrough also wanted to know if there are any current bills in the California state legislature that achieves similar goals that we should be aware of.
I don't know of any. I know California has been trying the cap and trade approach. There are 6 bills at the federal level that are trying a fee and dividend type of approach. 4 of them basically, I think, start too high and stay too low. So if you're trying to achieve a decarbonization of your economy without a disruption of your economy, it's sort of the opposite of how you would want to do that. One of them matches the HR 763 quite closely in terms of the dollars per ton, starting at 15 and growing fairly rapidly. But the distribution of the finances is a little bit different. I mean, I wouldn't personally be sad if that was the one that got passed in the end. But you know, we're all trying to sort of row in the same direction with this bill. We think it's a lot easier and to sell a bill that just has a dividend. Okay. You're welcome. So thank you all very much for your attention. So what we don't want is for you to think this is a good idea, or for you to be supportive, or for you to say, you know, go get them, it's, you know, well done. What we want is for you to come out of this as activists and sort of supporting us, or working with us and alongside us to try and get this bill passed. So we have a small acronym here or acrostic or something that we call the PATH to HR 763. So the PATH stands for, the P stands for persevere, the A stands for ask, the T for tell, and the H stands for HR 763, which is the bill that we've been focused on. So let me look at each of these four. Persevere. This is going to be the fight of our generation. And it's very easy in all of these fights, and it always has been very easy in all of these fights, to be demoralized because change is slow. But changes, it always feels like it's never going to happen, and then suddenly it happens. That's how it's. If you look back through history, that's more or less always how any major change has gone. And I know I don't have to tell a group like this about that. The frightening thing is that when you look at the oil and gas, the major oil and gas companies, and you look at what their plans are clearly to extract the reserves that they have and dump them into our atmosphere. And so, you know, that is a very powerful sort of vested interest into inaction. All they need is inaction. And so there's any number of ways to, you know, humans have a huge default for inaction. And so in order to win this, we need to persevere. Next is ask. The only way we can do this is if we have volunteers. So, you know, we had a question earlier from Michaela, which is, what can we do? You know, yes, we shouldn't be protesting right now with COVID-19. We are people who listen to the science. So, you know, it's perhaps another thing that comes out of COVID-19 is, you know, hey guys, if the science is telling us something, maybe we should listen. But there are many other ways that you can do it. So certainly everyone in your circle, you can tell them about and ask them to join you on the path to HR 763. You know, you can, if you're comfortable giving a talk, give a talk. If you want to write letters to the editor, we have, you know, email groups that we're signed up to. I receive an email almost every day with articles from various papers, local papers, telling us about, you know, that are germane to the topic. And so, you know, can you write a letter to the editor once a week? Even if it doesn't get published, they count those letters, and it makes a big difference to the editorial board. They start to see that this is something that's gaining momentum, especially if it's, you know, focused on a specific bill. You know, get a T-shirt, get business cards, get stickers, whatever you can do, whatever you feel comfortable with. We've done tabling. I've tabled at a Republican convention, which is one extreme. I've tabled at the Veg Fest, which was the opposite extreme. It's, you know, it's all good. People, and I think what you often find, I mean, I think, you know, I can remember at the Veg Fest sort of asking people, so, you know, is climate change something we can safely ignore? No, absolutely not. So what are we doing about it? Well, I recycle. So that isn't going to help. You know, people want to have solutions, and it's frustrating to feel like there aren't any. But now, you know, now we are aware that there are there is a very good solution, and it's one that can make a huge impact. And it's, you know, it shouldn't stop you from doing all the other things that you want to do. But this is one very simple thing that would make the biggest difference imaginable. So that's ask everyone you know. You know, from 6 feet away in COVID, you can ask the person in the adjacent to you at the teller, or whatever it's going to be. Then T is for tell. You know, you have politicians who work for you, and so phone them. That certainly makes a big difference. Phone them, write to them. All those things make a huge difference to your representatives. You know, Keith and I are lucky we have Katie Porter as our representative. She's signed on as a co-sponsor for HR 763. Yay, Katie, exactly. I have cousins who are in other parts of the country that are not quite so. I have a cousin in Kentucky, so you know I'm working on him to because that's the next place that we can get it. And then H is HR 763. You know, so let's stay focused on that as the solution. It's effective. We'll talk about studies show 40% reduction in 12 years. It's a very simple solution. So thank you very much for listening. I know that we want to keep a strong liaison with the Canyon Democrats. You know, you guys are fantastic. So we will definitely stay in touch, but we would also, if you are interested to you know, join us, and obviously we're taking all kinds of volunteers and any other thing that you'd like to do. You can also right now go onto cclusa.org/ whatever the rest of that is. I can't quite read it, but perhaps we can put a link up.
It's in the chat.
Thank you so much. There you go. Well done. And you could text if you're more comfortable with that. And you know, obviously we're open to any questions now, but that's our presentation. So I see a question about pressure on locals. There are great things that can be done at a local level. CCL is not focused on that at all. We are laser focused on HR 763. That's the one we got to get through. And the impact of that is, you know, bigger in general, but that doesn't prevent you from doing local stuff. You know, we do have at the local level, there's a lot of regulatory capture. You especially got difficulties trying to move away from natural gas and onto electricity. You know, ultimately you have to electrify everything, and then your electricity has to be clean. So those are the steps that have got to happen. But it's very difficult at the local level with the amount of power that a lot of these groups have.
Well, thank you very much, Clinton and Keith. Did you have anything else you were going to say?
Oh yeah, just the one last item. I think, Annie, you may have mentioned that CCE, Community Choice Energy, or CCA, Community Choice Aggregation, means the same thing. Maybe an upcoming presentation, and that is a powerful way at a local level, at a city level. Irvine has taken first steps in that direction, and I think you mentioned there may be a presentation upcoming. So we're
all interested in learning more about that. I apologize, my video isn't working, but I want to thank you both very, very much. It was a very informative presentation. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Can you close your screen share?
Yes, so I'm going to stop my screen share now.
Thank you, darling.
There we go.
Okay. Well, I think we all really enjoyed that. Thank you very much. And I know we're going to be following up because we're very interested. In fact, several people, I think, were late to our meeting because they were at the city council talking about community choice energy. So that's really cool. Okay, so I'm going to go back to our meeting. And we're going to go on with our committee reports. And the first one is from the field team. And Faye is going to talk about it. So go, Faye.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I just want to touch on a couple things. Number one, the field team, the committee is still really busy. We haven't let COVID-19 knock us off our game. We're all of our committee members have been attending training sessions and webinars, and we've been brainstorming on different contingency plans that may have to take place this fall. As Louise pointed out earlier in this, we are going to have a very condensed schedule for Get Out the Vote, because we have to start thinking in terms of a voting period instead of an election day. So as far as field, our Get Out the Vote activities will start in September. We need to be out there with our message ahead of those ballots arriving in the mailboxes, because as soon as they're in the mailbox, people will start voting. So we've been working together on future volunteer activities, things like voter registration, postcards. Those things, we'll have more for the volunteers on those as we get a little closer to November and we have a better handle on what we're looking at. But just to let everybody know, we're working on it. And in the meantime, what we've been doing is we've been making wellness calls to Mission Viejo voters. Now, these are Democrats who voted in the primary, and they are really easy phone calls to make. I've made a lot of them. And the feedback that I've gotten from other people calling is that people are very happy to talk to us. We're just calling them to thank them for voting in the primary, checking in to see if they need anything. We do have the form on our website that people can sign up if they need some kind of, assistance, if it's groceries or pharmacy. Does anyone need to update their voter registration? Have they, filled out their census form? We're just having a very casual conversation. We're trying to build these relationships, especially in Mission Viejo, since that election is going to be very local, because we will have a city council person, Pauline, looks like she's going to be on the ballot. And so we're trying to just build those relationships right now. So you can sign up. We need some help making the calls. They're super easy to make. They really don't take any time. And fortunately, the people that I've spoken to have all been in pretty good shape. I haven't had anybody that said they're doing terrible. And, we'll give you all the tools that you need. But we've got the event out on Mobilize. I think Louise has got the link there for you.
It's on the website. If you open the website, it's on the scroll at the top.
It's on the scroll. Okay, that's great. So you just sign up there, and it's kind of a two-step process. We're trying to keep this local. If we publish it on Mobilize, we'll get people from Pennsylvania and Florida and people signing up. So that doesn't quite work at this point. So sign up on the website. Just pick any day that's available. You will get an automatic reminder from the system once you've signed up, and you will get an automatic confirmation like the one that you see on the screen. And then I will follow up with you personally with an email that will give you the link to the virtual phone bank and to the documentation and some of the resources that we have at the ready to provide to folks if they're having trouble with a stimulus check or, whatever their issue might be. We'll work through it with them and try and get it resolved. Yes, I see a question in the chat. There may be some Republicans. These are Democrats that we're targeting, but there may be other household members that have a different party affiliation. But our message right now is very casual. We're not trying to persuade anybody at this point, but we are trying to build those relationships. So it's super easy. Just go sign up. If you have any questions on it, you can email me directly. Or you can, I'm sure if you went to info@canyondems.org, Rachel will point you in my direction.
And your email is right there on the screen.
Yep, it's right there on the screen. It's also through the committee members on the website as well. So I'm pretty easy to reach. Just sign up, and it's super easy. All you need is your phone and your computer, and it doesn't, in addition to building relationships with the voters we're talking to, it also helps us identify wrong numbers and disconnected phone numbers that we can flag in the system that will remove them in future phone banks, so that when we really need to contact people for Get Out the Vote in September and October, we'll have a more up-to-date, clean contact list to work from. So there's a lot of things we accomplished with this, but the conversations I've had with people have been really positive. So we'd really appreciate your help on that. So Louise, back to you.
Thank you, Faye. And I haven't been as good as Faye and some of the other people, but I've made these calls and they're really, it's like calling a friend. You know, you say, hi, I'm your neighbor. I'm a Canyon Dem. And, you know, the other thing that's interesting is they go, they're Democrats. We didn't know there were Democrats, you know? And then I tell them about the club and they go, there's a club? I didn't know there was a club. Oh yeah, right down the street at the Murray Center, you know, and they're very appreciative. So I know people don't like to make phone calls, but trust me, these phone calls you will enjoy because you're talking to friendly people. Whoop, going the wrong way, sorry. Okay. Now, Anne is going to tell us about some really exciting stuff that she's been working on community outreach. So Anne, are you there? Anne Owen?
I'm here.
Great.
Okay, can you see me?
We can see your slide, Anne.
But you can't see me.
I don't see you, but other people may be able to.
Right. Okay, anyway, yes, tonight, just before the meeting, I went to the Lake Forest City Council and read them actually an email that I had sent them last week, which no one responded to. So I decided to come and read it to them myself because I found out about a wonderful program that United Way is putting on called Welcome Home Orange County. And what this is, it's a program that unites homeless families with apartment owners where vouchers are used as payment. And United Way pays a bonus to the apartment owner, double security deposit, all fees, provides the caseworker, has a mitigation fund for damage, and provides basic furniture to the family. They've settled about 200 people this winter with no major issues. So before COVID began, I don't know if you remember, I told you that in California, homelessness was a #1 topic in all but one county in California. So obviously this is going to increase with this crisis. So I am asking you to become involved and contact your local city councils in Lake Forest, Mission Viejo, RS, Laguna Hills to promote this program. And if you know of any property owners, if you know of any real estate people who own apartment buildings, encourage them to contact welcomehomeorangecounty.org to find out about this program, because it's really a win-win situation for both the family and for the apartment owner, because they are guaranteed really a risk-free renter every month. You can contact me at volunteer@canyondems.org. If you want to, I can send you a little copy of the letter I read to the Lake Forest City Council if you'd like to read it to your local city councils. And I'm just very excited that something is happening to, in a positive way, that costs these city councils no money, which is a big thing, which I tried to promote tonight. Since budgets are going to be tight, this is also a win for the community. Okay.
All right. And then Anne, do you tell us about, that's our membership numbers?
Oh, 52, we're up 2 more. So our membership is 352, as you can see. They're still trickling in a little bit. Democrats are 336, MPPs 13, Republicans 1, and not registered 2. So we're still, I think that's really good for the situation we've been in the last couple of months.
Yeah.
So we're happy about that. And still keep advertising us, you know, if you see people, we're still taking pictures.
Yeah. Anne, do you want to talk about the store?
Sure, I'll just go right onto that.
Super.
Okay, so I know you have the shopping withdrawal. The malls have been closed. We haven't had a raffle. And so we're letting you have a chance to shop, shop, shop. And if you go to our website, you will see this beautiful shop icon here, and you can go down and it says start shopping. And we have a variety of items that you can purchase. So we have, starting on the left, beautiful jewelry. We have all kinds of jewelry. We have bracelets, necklaces, earrings. They come in different designs, and they're basically $10 each. So you can look through them. Andy Alexander is handling our jewelry, and you can order 1, 2, 3. They're in surgical steel, which is very healthy to wear. And the earrings, I believe you can order in gold or silver. We have water bottles for $10. We have t-shirts for $10, V-neck and round neck in a variety of sizes. And our new edition that Jenny Golden and friends are making are masks. So you'll see we have a USA mask with little donkeys on it, and we have a vote mask with little donkeys on it. And the masks are in sizes. We have small, medium, and large. So right today, I do have smalls of the blue ones and mediums of the white. Jenny is making larges this week. So I just want to let you know, both on the jewelry and the masks, since they're being made as we speak, there might be a week or two delay while we're processing them and making them, but you will get them. I will call and let you know, we've received your order, and then you can do porch pickup, which means you can come to my house and pick them up sitting on my porch, and I can give you the address, or we can deliver them to you. So when I call you, I will just ask which you prefer. And if you
tell them how they pay first before you deliver them.
You can pay on ActBlue.
Right.
You pay your ActBlue. That'll come up when you do your shopping and you put in your order. ActBlue will come up and tell you that you get. I'm assuming you'll get a receipt from ActBlue. I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you do.
This is all new, and we're working the little kinks out of the website. But
we'll definitely get a receipt.
They'll get a receipt. Okay, be sure. So if you choose delivery, we will call you and let you know when we are delivering, or ask you when the best day to deliver is. So you'll know that it's coming. So if you have any questions, again, just email me and I'd be glad to answer any questions you have. So we have a new way for you to spend your money and go shopping and yet support the club at the same time.
And you've already gotten a lot of orders too, right?
Yeah, I think we have like 6 orders already, and this is the first time we've actually shown it.
Yeah. The minute we put it up on the web, people started using it. It's
right. We put it up, and like an hour later, we had 2 orders.
Yeah, it's cool. Okay, okay, moving on. Once again, I'm going to put this up to remind you to bid on the book. Okay, so go to the chat and put in the amount. Has anybody bid on the book yet? In the chat?
No bids yet. No
bids yet? I don't want to keep this book here in my house. Come on, guys. It's not my book anyway. Somebody donated it.
We have one bid from Heather Gilbert now at $25.
Thank you, Heather. Oh, Heather, you are a saint. Okay, get in there and bid it up. Thank you. Okay, Janet Henry is going to talk about candidates. Janet, are you there?
Yes, I'm right here.
Great.
Can you see me? I don't know.
I can see you.
Okay, because it goes oddly. But hello, everyone out there. Glad you are able to make it. We've got some Zoom people and we have some YouTube people. So hello to everybody. The good news is that we've got 3 very viable candidates. And if you look on the left part of your screen, you will see 2 candidates for school board. And the school board in this case would be Saddleback Valley. And Saddleback Valley is changing its elections next time, and it's going to be doing it by area. So we have on the far left Susie Schwartz, who is going to be representing Area 2. And Area 2 is over there, Aegean Hills area on Muirlands and Alicia, kind of in that vicinity there. And then we have Ed Wong, who is in the Laguna Hills area, and he is area 3. And both of these are incumbents. So we'll be filling you in more about them as time goes on. We desperately need these 2 kind of folks in our area. And then we finally have found someone who's going to step up for city council. That's another big step. And that's going to tie in nicely with the well checks that have been going on, because it's Pauline Hale from Mission Viejo, and she has got the ball rolling now. She's got her, she's got a campaign group going. She's got a manager. She's got a treasurer. So things are well underway. So we'll be letting you know more about her particular campaign. And I'm sure the field team is going to be, you know.
We already are.
Yeah, okay, yeah, pushing all of these folks as they make the calls. So those are our people. And yes, we are still looking for other people. So let me go over just a few of the qualities in case you personally, or you might know somebody. Sometimes people don't kind of recognize their own skills that would be very helpful right now. Anybody that has been on a PTA board, a homeowners board, maybe you worked for the Scouts, any other kind of board within their company. You know, all of those people have had leadership skills and know kind of how organizations work. So that would be wonderful. Somebody who's willing to be trained. We have wonderful places. The Dems have it all figured out. They have online training right now because of the COVID, so that's taken care of. I know Pauline herself is going to an academy soon online. You know, comfortable speaking in front of groups, because you have to kind of go and present yourself and you have to ask for money. And there are a variety of different groups that we can share with you who would be willing to give you money. Willing to attend and maybe give some coffees, because that's how you go. You kind of gather people as time goes on. And you need to have a clear message, like what's going on, why are you doing this, what is your objective? And maybe other people have worked on a campaign before, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, maybe it's my time to actually be the candidate. So those are some things to think about. Now, the other thing that I want to point out is some people completely do their own, where they have a friend that does the treasurer, a friend that does the managing, and then they have a small group of people and it all works out. Other people, they hire a campaign manager, not that expensive. They hire a treasurer. So you can do different things, and you can even do a hybrid. So there are things out there where we're more than willing to talk with you and get you going and see what we can do to get even more candidates on the screen up here. So thank you very much. And I look forward to hearing maybe from you.
Yeah, and Janet's email address is candidate@canyondems.org, and love to I know she wants to hear from you if you have any suggestions of candidates.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
However, they have to be Democrats.
Yes.
We had a little whoopsie once. Yeah, we learned. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else, Janet?
Nope, that's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now I'm going to introduce Kathy Udovich. Kathy is a small business owner working in the travel industry. And I know she's been kind of tearing her hair out a little bit with all of the stuff going on with COVID, but she agreed to take this on because we wanted one of the business people to be in charge of it. So I'm going to let Kathy talk about it. Kathy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you, darling.
Although it looks like I'm in Middle Earth because that's my comfort spot.
Good for you.
Yeah, actually, if anybody's been looking at my screen, I've been switching between French Polynesia, the Maldives, and New Zealand.
Right, you're advertising. Is that what you're doing, darling?
Just a little bit. Okay, so we know that obviously small businesses, whether it's restaurants, shops, laundromats, I don't know, tattoo parlors, I mean, whatever you can think of, the small business has taken a big hit. And even before COVID-19, Vivian and I had been talking about this. She came to me for advice about, hey, small businesses, what can we do as like sort of like a referral, but minus the Canyon Dems endorsement of the quality of the product. We sort of figure if somebody says, hey, I've got a local restaurant, come and try out my tacos. And if the tacos are good, then people are going to talk about it and say, hey, I went to that taco shop that's, the members right over there sitting at our meeting once we're all in person again. Yay.
Yay.
But when they're in person again, being able to say, hey, yeah, that place really was good. Or yes, this laundromat is awesome. And they, or dry cleaners and they work with you to get your clothes done. So whatever kind of business, and we were looking at, obviously, the owner or management team would need to be a member. That's pretty much the most important factor. The other thing is that the business is somewhere within our sphere of influence.
Our
Hill
geography.
Lake Forest, the Canyon Dems, where we draw our membership. That's pretty much the two only things. I believe we had discussed whether or not franchisees were eligible, because a lot of restaurants and stuff like that will have a franchisee who is an independent owner. I happen to know the owners at one of the Baskin Robbins in the area right off of Los Alisos, and they are local owned. So it's not Baskin Robbins, obviously it's a national chain, but them as local business owners would be worthy of a donation. So, or not a donation, a referral. So I guess I don't know where it is. So canyondems.org shop local. I take it that's where on the website.
Right. It's on the scroll.
Okay.
It's on the scroll.
All right. So I am still in the process of getting the referrals that you guys were talking about today in email about having people that were listed as local business owners here in California or in our district in
On
our
their
membership.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry. And that there were some that had already submitted business cards, which was something that Vivian had done, but I don't have access yet to that list.
Well, it's on the website.
Okay, so I will look for it there, but in the whole, and there's more people on here, feel free to email me. My name is up at the top and it says business@canyondems.org if you want to be listed. Once we start getting back into having live meetings, the idea is that every once in a while, you might offer to sponsor the entire meeting or just like the snacks at the meeting or some sort of event that we're doing, whether it's a sign making or a postcard writing event, some sort of event where if you sponsor that, that then gives you the right to stand up and say, hey, this is my 1-minute spiel about my business. Come visit me because it's almost April and you want your taxes done by somebody you trust who's in your own club and has your own ideals or whatever business. So please do email me so we can actually start chatting with each other. If you're like my business where I have been busier than ever working for free because as a travel agent, everyone's canceling and all my commissions have disappeared, but I'm taking care of all my clients because I do work from home and I've been working from home for the last 4 years. So I don't have to worry about rent yet. Yeah, we can all talk. I mean, those of us that have small businesses, we can talk to each other just as a support system. Just because I know that filing for unemployment or the pandemic unemployment assistance, which is with unemployment in EDD here in California, or whether you've tried to get the PPP loan and failed. So we can talk amongst ourselves as well about what's worked or what hasn't worked amongst other small business owners that we know.
Great.
So it's kind of a support system as well as introducing our businesses to our club.
Super.
Good? Awesome.
Sounds great.
I'm good. All right.
Yay.
Yay.
Something new. We always are doing something new.
New is
Okay.
good.
Okay. Thanks, Kathy.
No worries.
Okay. And I believe Marty and Melora have something to present to us on the fundraising. So Marty, take it away.
Okay. Well, first I want to thank everybody for listening. Last time we talked about the Sustaining Donor Program. We are up to now 57 sustaining donors. And as of this weekend, they had added $5,388 to our coffers. And that's wonderful. That helps us support candidates and do the business that we need to do, which is getting Democrats elected in Orange County. So thank you very much to all our sustaining donors. Normally we would have you all stand up and we would clap for you, but who could tell if you're standing or sitting at this point? The other thing, I don't know if you can see me, but I will hold this up. This is our book. This is a book of President Obama's 2009 inaugural speech. And it also includes, as Louise said, it's got the first and second inaugural address by Abraham Lincoln and also the Gettysburg Address. And then Ralph Waldo Emerson's self-reliance essay.
Wow.
So
Wow.
we would like Heather to have it, but we don't necessarily want her to get it so cheap. So if you have any interest in the book, let's bid it up. Then the other thing, we've been trying to figure out how we can do fun things that would get us together and that would also be fundraisers in the time when we can't really get together. So the car parades have become a very important thing. In fact, my son, who just had his 40-something birthday a couple weeks ago, his friends got together and drove by and honked at him. So we thought, what a fun thing to do to celebrate graduations for kids who weren't able to go and have a graduation or a birthday, or to maybe to honor a veteran, or go by, grandma's house and let her know you're thinking of her. So we would like to do a minimum donation of $50, and we will then send the parade to your friend or your family member, or enjoy it to, just enjoy it for yourself. Maybe just to say, good job staying self-quarantined, So we will find lots and lots of reasons to do it. We're trying to shoot for the first parade brigade going out on Flag Day, which is the 14th of June. It's a Sunday. We would like to schedule a number of people that we could go and drive by their house in our decorated cars that day. And so in the next couple of days, hopefully by the end of the week, we will have all the information and the sign up on our website. This is something that I kind of sprung on them, so they're not quite, oh my goodness, Heather, you're amazing. Thank you. So if that's something interesting to you, we would love to be able to drive by and embarrass you and your friends by honking our horns. You can see the decorated car there up in the right-hand upper side of the screen. Melora has already ordered some things to decorate cars with. Also, if you'd like to be a part of the parade brigade, try and say that 3 times fast. We would love to have you join along. So we will get our act together, get our schedule together, meet at probably some public park or some parking lot somewhere, gather ourselves, and then go and celebrate. Let's just celebrate. So think of a reason to celebrate somebody, and we will be there.
And I understand that Melora is going to be helping out with the decorations.
Yes, Melora will have she's got a bucket on her front porch where she is able to get things to people. Once we have our schedule and we've got people ready to sign up, we will make available decorations for you to put on your car.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But this means we have to volunteer.
Well, we already have some people who have signed up to volunteer.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, we've got some people who are ready to get their cars ready to go. But we would like to be able to have a place to go. So give us a place to go on Sunday, June 14th.
Okay. All right. Another new thing. Wow. You guys are amazing. Okay. I'm excited about this. Okay, and I know if Melora's involved, it's going to work, right?
It'll be loud
Yeah, it'll be great.
and fun.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, there
look,
she is with
Melora's
her little
holding up her
cars.
little cars.
Yeah.
There she is.
There goes our parade.
Yeah, I'm surprised you don't have a hat on that's a car, Melora.
No, I could probably find a hat. How's this?
Okay.
It's actually a lampshade.
Okay. All right. Now that we've started off with the fun stuff, I'm going to turn it over to Vivian and for the Political Action Committee. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. There we go. And Vivian, I'm going to turn off my screen share and I'm going to give it to you.
Right. I like to stand up. I feel I have more energy when I'm standing up. Hey, everybody. Usually when we're at the meetings, I always ask you, what does democracy look like? And you say,
this is what democracy looks like.
Excellent. Some of you are already doing it. So I can't hear you, but some of you are already throwing your hands in the air. So let's try it again. You know your part. Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Beautiful. You look beautiful. I'm watching you on a big grid, so I'm seeing you all hands up at the same time. You look awesome. So at this point, before our historic 2018 election, we were practically living in the campaign offices, right, of the candidates. This time, obviously, COVID. So I've been struggling. It's been a challenge to try and figure out, as your political action chairperson, how do we do this and still stay safe and still stay quarantined? There are ways. So the candidates themselves are doing things. I'm going to share my screen and show you some of the things that are going on. Here we go. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So you're seeing this. You know, we always at Canyon Democrats, we're always making our voices heard, right? So we're going to keep making our voices heard. See this screen here? This shows you, these are the people on your Orange County Board of Supervisors. Been in the news lately because they are trying to undermine the work that our great Governor Newsom is doing, right? Yeah. With the stay at home, they're trying to say, oh, all businesses, everybody go back. So what I'm asking you to do, see this lady down at the bottom, Lisa Bartlett? See that?
Yeah.
Can everybody please take her number down? 714-839-3550. 714-834-3550. Remember how we were relentless with Mimi Walters? We called her, we visited her, we sent letters. Lisa's the new Mimi. So please call her office relentlessly this week. Tomorrow around the country, there are going to be these demonstrations in other cities. We're not going to do it here, but in other cities, they're going to do this thing where they deliver fake body bags to politicians. You might have seen that on Rachel Maddow's show. We're not going to do that, but you know what we can do? We can pick up the phone and we can call Lisa Bartlett and we can say, we support Governor Newsom and all that he's doing to keep us healthy. So if you're willing to do that, let me see your hands in the air. Thank you. We can make phone calls. The other thing we can do, I'm going to switch over to here. The candidates are still doing their thing. They can still do phone calls. So Katie Porter through the DCCC and Mobilize. You see her at the top.
And by the way, Vivian, this is on our website. If you go to volunteer on our website, the connection to this is right there.
Right there. You can pick, see all these time slots? You can pick a time slot that works for you from the comfort of your own home, make some calls. And as Faye and Louise were talking about earlier about these type of phone calls, they're really well checked. They're the most comfortable calls you can be making right now. So you can pick a time, make calls for Katie. You can also go to Mobilize, make calls for Mike Levin. They're going to really need our help this year. Now, Scott, of course, we want to get our down ballot candidates elected, right? Let me see your hands.
Hey,
yes.
hey.
Scott's not on Mobilize, but he's got this great website. You can go to events. You can go to his website, see what's going on, how you can help Scott. He's doing a virtual town hall, May 22nd. Same thing for Melissa Fox. Let's get some women Democrats elected, right? Yes. So go to Melissa's website, see how you can help out there. And of course, Dave Min, he's got his website, very easy to remember, davemin.com. All right, so the next thing, we've been trying to do some fun things and some things that will help show our gratitude. And I want to show you a video that was made with some Canyon Dems and some other Democrats. It was to thank the essential workers that are so important to us, but that don't often get recognized in the media. So I want to show you that because it is good to show gratitude towards them. But we're also going to take this and do a new activity. It's going to launch a project that I'm going to talk about after you watch this video. So let me see how we can get you to that. It's only 2 minutes. Hopefully you enjoy this. Let's see.
I watched it. I enjoyed it.
All right. It's Jasmine Miles from the DCCC. It's Carissa, a member of the Canyon Dems. Linda Turner, she's not on our Zoom tonight. Canyon Dems. Okay, so that was that project, which kind of leads me into the next project that we're going to do as Canyon Democrats. What I'd like you to do, make a sign for a Democratic candidate. So that project was kind of very Katie Porter centric, right? Because it was with the DCCC. Make a sign for a Democratic candidate, and it can be for Katie or Mike Levin or Dave Min or Scott, any of our candidates, Melissa, any of our Democratic candidates. Take a picture of yourself holding the sign, wearing a political shirt. And if you don't yet have a Canyon Dem shirt, you can buy one from the shop. Or you can wear the, if you're holding a sign for Scott, you can wear your Scott Reinhardt shirt, all right? You get the idea. I want you to take a photo of yourself and post the photo to the Canyon Dems Facebook page. Or if you're not on Facebook, that's okay. Email me at action@canyondems.org. Easy to remember that website, right? We're taking action. We're always in action at canyondems.org. We're going to make a slideshow of the photos. I'm going to show it off to everyone, everywhere. And when you're done with your signs, don't just throw them away. Post the signs in your windows at home, in your cars, in your yards, everywhere. And take a picture of that too. We want to use that too. And we're also going to use the signs in a Democratic car parade that we're going to do later this year. I'm going to talk about in a minute. But here's my challenge. Ann Owens just told us we have 352 members. If everybody does this, we could beat this challenge easy. I'd like to get at least 100. If you can do this, let me see your hands in the air. Thank you. Take a picture of yourself with the sign. I love your actions, guys. Let's try and get at least 100 of these. I think it will be awesome to support our Democratic candidates. Here's what I did. Re-elect Katie Porter with the Katie Porter shirt on. Scott Reinhardt, here's a homemade sign. Now you notice these aren't beautiful works of art. And you notice that they're not mass-produced signs that you usually see in campaigns. The corrugated ones that are out on the parkways. These are your homemade grassroots style. Make your grassroots sign, take your picture holding it. Here's my Melissa Fox one. Oh, Melissa Fox, hello, all right. And then here's a little sample of what our Democratic is gonna look like. All right. We're gonna post these on our car. We're gonna do, this is not, so the parade that Marty was talking about is for a specific person and a fundraiser. This is really meant to kind of get awareness in the community of our Democratic candidates. So we will line up at the, the road that leads into the Murray Center. It's where the buses park for the Women's March buses. We'll line up there, and then we will go on all the busy streets of Mission Viejo, Lake Forest, Rancho Santa Margarita, everywhere, slow driving with our cars decorated with signs with our candidates' names on them. So let's paste our cars full of your homemade signs, and that's what we're gonna do. We're not gonna do it quite yet. And the reason we're not gonna do it quite yet is I know that as soon as somebody like, Greg Raths gets wind of this, they'll probably want to copy us. People are trying to copy the Canyon Dems. So we're going to wait strategically till we get closer to when the ballots drop. But this is one of the things you'll be able to use the signs for. So between now and our next Canyon Dems meetings, please make a sign for a candidate. Take a picture of yourself holding the sign, post it on the Canyon Dems Facebook page, or email it to me at action@canyondems.org. Let's get some visibility in the community for our Democratic candidates, for the congressional candidates, and for the down ballot candidates. Who's with me? Let me see your hands. Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Thank you. That's it. That's all I got today.
Okay, Viv, thank you very much. Can you turn off your screen share? There you go. Okay. Okay, Ken, our fabulous treasurer. Are you still there, Ken?
I'm still here.
Great.
Okay. We've been actually having some, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're great.
Okay. Without the meetings, we seem to have lost a kind of a revenue share that has been picked up so nicely by having sustaining donations. You folks have done a great job with sustaining donations, and it's really helped out quite a bit in spite of the fact that we're not physically together. And it's little ideas that are coming through with the online store and these little raffles. It really is going to help us because we're trying to get money out to the candidates. And we've already done some first tranche, and we're going to be continuing until we get as close as we can to the election. And we want to keep going on getting our candidates through. So I want to thank everybody for that. So now for the report. This is a report as of the 30th of April, and I'll give you an update on that right now. We basically started the month at 18,564.70. And as far as donations, we've only brought in, I brought in 1,025. And as you could see, it's from sustaining donations mostly. Very little expenses because, well, we're not doing much, obviously. So we basically ended the month at 19,480, and with the current balance, we're at 2115. We're still hanging in here. We're doing great as far as holding on. we will be, the board has been making some really great decisions as far as what things, we're revising the budget we started out in the beginning of the year and deciding what's important. Well, and what are we not going to do? And if we're not going to do it, then what can we do with the money? And the committees have really been stepping up in spite of all of our difficulties. And I'm very proud of everybody in the club. And I know we can continue this, and I do appreciate all your help and support. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Ken. Thank you very much. It's a great place to be financially. Okay, and so we're going to close the auction. So you have 1 more minute to post it and see if we can get a bigger bid than Heather's. So we'll count down to 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, somebody look at the chat and tell me who's the highest bidder.
Heather is currently still the highest bidder at $100.
Okay, well, Heather, you get the book. Thank you very much, Heather. You're a trooper. So it's time to say goodbye. So please stay safe, stay healthy, stay engaged, and know that we are all in this together. Hugs to everybody. Good night.